Hi there, I'm Jen Ferguson with Artistic Painting Studio, and we are going to do a super fun project with this gigantic acorn. So come join me as I combine paints, stencils, and foils. Okay, we're going to get started on this acorn and just have some fun. All the colors I'm using will be in the description of the video. And we're using all Americana acrylics. All the names will be listed. And I'm going to be working from dark to light. But the first thing I want to do is kind of give myself a line to work with. And I'm using a watercolor pencil, not a regular pencil. So this is just going to be my little bit of a guide. So I can decide how high up I want to go with the bottom of the acorn and then finish it off with the top piece. So just something for visual. I like using a watercolor pencil because normally they'll just dissolve in your paint and you don't have to worry about anything. So that is a great little trick. And then I'm just going to find one of my artist brushes that is not completely beat up, okay? So that I can possibly get a straight line to start with. When I say beat up, I have some really beat up brushes. Okay, so I might even go with my angled brush because I think that might be a better choice for me, okay? So we're gonna do basically an ombre. And I'm gonna start off with my darkest color, which was burnt sienna, okay? And I'm just gonna get this started. And I know it's not going to be perfect, okay? But it's okay, as perfection is just completely overrated. And when you're doing stuff by hand, you have to embrace all of your imperfections because that's just part of the process, okay? So I like to use a little bit of water. I've got a mist bottle here. So I can either spray on my palette or I can even lightly mist my surface, which will also help my colors blend down, okay? So I'm just going to go into my next color. I'm getting a little bit of water going in it. And we are just going to transition to the next color, and I'm blending up into the original color, okay, as I come down. So normally your second color is going to have a little bit of a mix to it because you've blended in to the darker color. And again, just give a little mist onto your surface. That's just going to keep things wetter, okay? Now I've got like 4, 5 different orange colors. We might not need all of them. I might have to skip just to get the color transition to go lighter faster. And it really just depends on what you're doing. These two are so close that I'm not sure there's going to be much of a transition there. That's what I thought. So we're probably going to have to skip to the next orange. But as you saw, I just threw that on my brush and now just blending it in to the previous section. So you want to come down far enough with your next color that as you go up, it's just blending away, okay, and creating that ombre. I think I'm going to also go ahead and put on, I think that's my lightest orange, and then I'm going to use some mustard seed, which is a yellow, to really start lightening up all the colors as needed. I'm doing this with a dirty brush. Ooh, got a few extra goodies there. Let's pick those out. Yeah. Sometimes you can tell when you have an older jar of paint. Okay. But I'm just doing this dirty brush. If you feel like your brush has gotten too dirty and you're not transitioning like you want to, wipe some of that color off. Spray your board again so that you've got the ability to transition and blend, okay? Bring your color down, and this is just, I want to say, the easiest way to ombre something. I don't like to make anything too difficult, but this is just a fun, easy way to do it. If you work with my little tricks of maybe even adding a little water on your palette, keeping your surface misted, you should be okay. Now, instead of going straight into the yellow, I'm going to use that yellow to blend it into my last couple of colors there. Okay, I keep finding little extra pieces, so I'm pulling those out. And then just blend it back up, okay? I'm pulling more yellow, kind of finish off here. I got a lot of paint on the brush, so just pulled some of that off so that I can control. And you guys, that's it. Other than I need to critique if I've missed any area on my edges, okay, I just need to blend that back in. Might have to wipe your brush off just a little bit more to get back to the full darker colors, okay? And again, water is your best friend with this, you guys. Keeping that hydrated so that your paints are going to move is very important. Okay, I am going to try to wipe off almost all of the paint because I really want to get that top edge a little bit better, as it didn't opaque as much as I'd wanted it to. So I'm going to bring that dark edge back in, okay? So I've always felt the biggest secret to doing an ombre and keeping it super easy is that you need to be wet, okay? Do not let any of your colors dry. Everything has to be wet into wet into wet. And just depending on how much color you want in here, I'm gonna say I'm good to go. I'm gonna hit this with a blow dryer. Okay, I'm only blow drying just so that I can keep going because now I'm gonna flip up and we are going to go to the top section. Okay, so I'm going to flip it around so it's just a little bit easier for me to handle. And I'm going to get a fresh plate. It's going to be easier for me to just start with a new plate and my darker colors. And I think we're going to definitely clean off that brush well. And we're going to go for a couple of browns. I have raw sienna and dark chocolate to do the top of the acorn. And I'm just going to shake those up really good. And again, just put them on my foam plate. I'm going to add a little water to the plate. And then we're going to also add some water to our acorn over the wood. Let's get another paper towel out here because we're going to need that. And as you guys can see, I'm still using the same dirty brush, okay? I'm going to pick up some of that, what did I say? That was dark chocolate, okay? And if my transition isn't strong enough, don't worry, we can always come back later and shadow the base of the acorn to make it look a little bit more contrast, okay? Now, because I did that really thin, I'm probably going to need to also paint back over that section, okay? So I'm going to try to ombre into more of a circle, going from the outside into a lighter color. I'm hoping this brown's dark enough. I might have to get a darker brown just to blend in more. Okay, so I'm trying to get that darker color on the outside. Let's keep that hydrated well. And we're going to go for our milk. Oh no, this was raw sienna. Okay, I thought it was milk chocolate, but it's raw sienna. And blend this one in so that we can again get kind of that ombre effect, more of like a shading and shadowing look on the top of the acorn, but I feel like I need to be a little bit more opaque there. I think I maybe got too much water added to my brush. So wipe your brush off and come pick up some more paint and blend that over again. It is a little trickier trying to get that halo going. Then we're going to look for one more darker color to add some more contrast. Okay, I want just a little bit more contrast, so I found a bittersweet chocolate that we're going to probably blend into the dark chocolate and not go full strength, but definitely make that a deeper color. I feel like I just need to go a little bit deeper. And of course, okay, make sure you have some water on your surface. And let's get this darker color because we're going to have more contrast on the top part of the acorn here, okay? So again, I'm going to bring that color. We're going to go ahead and just do the stem. I think we're going to foil over the top of that, but we'll just go ahead and do that dark brown. And if you get too much water, don't worry, just let it dry out a little bit, okay? Let's bring our edges in well here. And now I'm going to pick up my lighter tone, but I'm kind of blending a little bit of that medium color into it so it's not super contrast. We're just going to get a lighter shade going towards the middle and blend that away. Okay, looking really good here. I'm going to wipe my brush off. Okay, so I just like to keep my paper towels here and just use them over and over. I'm going to go back for my darker color. And I'm just going to detail this out a little bit more and bring that back into the lighter color. Okay, I think that looks really good. If you want to go darker, you always can. You can overblend these last two colors together a little bit more just to kind of blend the contrast so it's not as strong if you want it to be a little bit softer transition, okay? Just keep adding your darker color back in. Woohoo! Okay, I'm going to say the acorn is base coated now. So now we're just going to let this dry. We're going to probably grab our blow dryer again and blow dry everything, and then we're going to grab a stencil and have some fun with actually stenciling with our foil adhesive and using a beautiful stencil to create some really cute pattern. Our acorn is completely dry and ready to go, and I have grabbed one of my favorite stencils. This one is called Nora Page, and it comes in two sizes. This is the big size, but I figured we might be able to get almost the whole acorn on here in one pass if I'm position this just perfect, okay? So we're going to do our best to try to get that to happen because it's just going to make my life easier. So I'm trying to position that I have everything. Okay, I might have to do a little bit of a shift in the final end just to kind of move that part out, okay? But I'm going to try to do as much as I can, and then I'm going to tape off. So on this top section, where I don't want any of the design to go onto the top half of the acorn, I'm just going to tape off and right at my painting line, okay? If I need to fix something, we can always go back and fix it, but I'm going to try to get that taped off. And so that just means I'm not going to stencil above the tape line. And you can use any stencil you have. Like I said, this one is Nora Page. Tape off whatever you don't need to use. So you can really adjust and use a lot of stencils maybe that are too big or too small for a project just by taping off what you actually need to use of the design. Okay, I'm almost there. We've got a curved edge here, so I'm having to tape with that curve, or at least I'm trying to. Okay, that should get me on there. And then I'm going to go ahead and just use, now I'm only taped in little tiny areas here, so I'm going to go ahead and tape into position so that the stencil doesn't move. I'm also going to loop a piece, and I might have to loop that smaller. I was a little generous with that. Okay, let's loop a tinier piece of tape, and then we can put that underneath behind the mylar, okay, where there's a section that doesn't have an opening, and that way it's secured down at that end as well. And if you feel like you need extra, you can always do that in another spot as well. And that's just going to keep your stencil in position and so that you can get through your project. Okay, we are going to stencil with, if I can get this turned around here, it is the Artsyville foil adhesive. This is our brand. And I've already pulled some out and put it onto what I call a sticky plate. And this just allows you to work with it a lot easier than trying to work out of the jar. So I've already put some out here. I'm just going to grab a tiny bit of it and just move it to the other side of the foam plate. And again, you still want to be dry brushing because you don't want to bleed underneath the stencil. So just go ahead and pick up a little bit at a time. If you have too much on there, you can always wipe it off. And then you're just going to pounce or swirl into the openings. I also grabbed a brush that was 3/4 inch, just knowing that all we're going to be doing is filling in the openings. And I figured that this would go faster than a smaller brush because it's not like we're shading here. We are just stenciling in the openings with foil adhesive so that we can transfer foil over the design. So we're going to add a little bit of bling to this project. And I'm trying to be careful to go from one side to the other so I don't miss any openings, okay? I also do suggest when stenciling with your foil adhesive, go straight out of the container. Don't add any water to it. You want it at its thickest point so that it won't seep underneath. Okay, as you get to the end and you want to make sure that you have pounced through all of the openings, just lift your stencil back and it is going to give you a shine, okay? So the foil adhesive should definitely give you a reflection of the pattern. So just kind of move it around until you can see the pattern on there. And I'm just double checking to make sure that I did get all the openings, and then we'll just double check on the edges, because remember, I think I was a little narrow on both sides here. So I'm just going to extend that opening, and I think the other one was fine. Okay, so let me go ahead and again, I'm gonna just move this around because I want you guys to see And I'm going to keep moving it until I think you guys can see that reflection on there. Okay, so that's the Nora Page design. Again, with all of our foiling projects, you do need to allow the foil adhesive to set up for at least approximately 30 minutes, okay? That should be enough time for this. And then I'm going to just paint on some of the foil adhesive onto the stem, because we're going to add foil up here as well. So just make sure you're just brushing on full coverage. And then we're going to let everything set up. We're going to let it tack up to a nice firm tack. And then we'll come back and transfer all of our foils. The foil adhesive has completely dried, and now it's time to transfer our foil. And yes, I did pick aquamarine, okay? I love teal and orange together, so I thought this would just be a fun pop of color. I'm gonna lay it over the area that we stenciled, okay? And just scrub. I let the foil adhesive dry for about 30 to 45 minutes. And because it was a thinner layer than usually what you paint on, I figured it would probably be enough. And I want you guys to see how cool this is, because it grabs the design. Oh, come on. Camera, work with me, okay? Maybe there you can start to see it, but it actually grabs the pattern so that you can see that the foil is adhering to the design and that you could have covered everything. Once you think you have the coverage you're looking for, start pulling it back and revealing. And if you decide, okay, I think I want to try to scrub, you know, in a couple of spots a little bit more, just lay the foil back there and scrub again. Usually you can get a little bit more transfer when you pull back, reveal, and reposition the foil. Oh, this is going to be so fun, and I love the pop of color. So, take from this side. And then we'll reposition for the bottom section here. Oh, that is so fun, you guys. Now you can pick and choose whatever colors will work for your house and your taste. But I was wanting to do just something super fun to just pull in one of my favorite colors, which is aquamarine, okay? And I love teal and orange. I think it's just a beautiful combo. Okay, I also brought over some foil for the stem, and I picked one of ours called Copper Bark. And I'm going to position this to where I have more interest from the foil, okay? And that's one thing cool, is you can always position sections of the foil just where you need it or want it. And I thought this would give it a really cool, fun look to the stem. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of embellishing with some paint pens. So we're going to use, they're called Posca pens. I bought a collection of them that were just black and white. You shake them up really good, and then just make sure that they're writing before you get going. Okay, so just test on a piece of paper. And you can do whatever you want. Okay, I'm just going to have some fun and just give a little bit of detail to the shape of the top. And I think we're going to just have some fun with doing a few lines across here, okay, just to give this a little bit of detail. And you can do whatever you want. I'm just having fun, kind of eyeballing, and give it a little crisscross action up here. And you don't have to add any detail if you don't want to. I just thought this would give a little bit of extra interest to the top of the acorn. You can add squiggly lines. You can do whatever you really want, okay? I think I'm just going to go ahead and just give a little bit of a wave right there. And then you can also add detail to the bottom half if you want, but I'm going to leave all my paint pen action at the top. Whew, okay, now for the part that is probably just not my true forte, but we're going to give it a heck of a shot, guys. We're going to pull out my beautiful collection of ribbons that I have, okay? I have a great collection of these. I'm always wanting to adorn my projects, so we're just going to make a simple little bow, okay? And we're going to cut. I picked ribbons that I thought would go good with my project as far as the colors on the acorn, because I want to definitely bring that teal back in. And then if I can actually get this one open, I should have opened it first. You know, I thought maybe I could sneak a little animal print in here as well. And that would also bring in some of our brown orange colors again. Okay, I think that'll be fun. So let's go ahead. We're going to cut these the length that I think they should be. I'm just going to cut them all at once. And I know there's probably way better ways to do this, but you know what? This girl does the best she can. And I'm just having fun. So hey, if you guys are not ones that are into making great ribbon or great bows and all that kind of stuff, this is just going to be a simple little bow that I'm going to make. So it'll be easy, okay? And I'm going to cut this one just a little bit shorter. Okay, so I think I have all the ribbon that I'm going to need. And all of my ribbons are wired, okay, so that you can move these around and create shapes, okay? Oh, actually, this one's not wired. Ooh, maybe I don't want that one, okay? That one might just end up being too floppy. Oh, yeah, look at that. It just flops. Okay, we can't use that one. So we'll go back to my little checkerboard here because I just felt I have to have wired ribbon, okay? Don't know why I bought that other one. Okay, so I'm going to snip all my ends, okay? I believe the technical term is dovetails. And we're just going to cut all of these. I probably should not be using my best scissors for this, but we'll live and learn, okay? So dovetail everything. And then I'm going to stack these back together. Oops, I want this one a little bit shorter, okay? I want to make sure they're all about the right length. Okay, I'm going to let this one go a little bit shorter. Now let's do our next section. Okay, let's get rid of our mess here. And then we're going to stack these all back together. Yeah, it's okay. Now we're going to cut this one a little bit shorter. I'm going to stack them on top of each other. And then I'm just going to pinch and gather them together, okay? And try to make sure I'm in the middle. So you could always even just fold it in half, make sure you're in the middle. You can use pipe cleaner, or I will also use little zip ties, because sometimes those can just tighten things up easier and more secure. Okay, then you can always start to play with the little bow and make sure, I guess it's really not a bow, it's just messy tails, okay? And then let's get rid of the end of our zip tie. Let's see, I think I'm going to grab another piece of the blue, and we're going to try and get this to go around the center, okay? Should have probably done that one under the zip tie as well, but when I attach this to the acorn, I'm going to staple that down so that I can keep that in position. And then we will work from there. So let's get our acorn back. And you guys, there's many ways to do this. And oh my gosh, sorry guys, they're painting outside and they are making all kinds of noise. You can get out your hot glue gun, which I'm going to add some greenery and some leaves to this, okay? I'm going to position it off to the side. I'm getting both the base ribbon and then how I twist it and tied the little centerpiece, okay? I'm getting both of those down there. So now that I know that that's secure, I can play with moving everything around, and we can add a little bit of some leaves or greenery. Let's see. Let's get out our nippers and maybe just do, I'm trying to figure out which one I want. Here's where the glue gun's going to come in handy, okay? Okay, I think I like those leaves better. Okay, and if you feel like anything is too long, you know, you can always trim, which I feel like the end of this one's still too long. There we go. I think I need one more little piece to kind of finish this up. Oh, there we go. Okay, guys. Like I said, I'm no expert at doing bows and ribbons, but if I can make this work, so can you guys. And there we go, our finished acorn. How cute is that? Hope you guys have had a wonderful time with this project.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me today for this fun acorn project. All of the supplies and materials will be listed in the description below. And do us a big favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos.